JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Friday, December 19th, 921. And this fine morning. Really quick rant. Talk about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P futures up about 0.2% on the heels of yesterday's 0.75% rally. CPI data, cool and expected. Right off the bat, you already have folks looking at the report saying, the data's not accurate. Doesn't include, some other number. I'm trying to think of all the different points they had, but one of it is 30% of that CPI data is housing, is shelter, right? And supposedly that data is skewed. And November, the government shutdown had just ended, so it's not the full month of November in regards to collection. So who knows how accurate? It's always all that data. Every time there's data that comes out, there's always some excuse, especially if it's a positive viewed economic data, like one good for the market, like GDP data or what have you. It's funny how that all works. So like everything else, this will just put more importance on January's CPI data. But if there was a chance yesterday for the bears to really come in, it was like yesterday afternoon. The markets were opened in the green, rallied, and then we had two polls yesterday, and each time it looked like, okay, here's a chance for the bears to take control. You get a huge reversal from green into the red, and then you have the AI bubble really starts to ring true, right? And each time the market found some support, even in the afternoon. So we'll see how today plays out. I just want to see the S&P close over its 50-day moving average until the end of the week. And then we head into the seasonally strong Santa rally time frame, right? And you always hear people calling this out. It's not a given, but typically the time frames around the last 5 days or so of the year and the first 2 days of January. Some of it they say is repositioning. Some people taking advantage of tax loss selling. So some names might be oversold. So you have people trying to pile into some things, and same at the start of the month. So I like to be cautiously optimistic. I think if there was opportunities for the Bears to really take control, you kind of saw it at the end of that last week and then into this week with Broadcom and Oracle. So we'll see what happens. Also this morning too, if there's any chance for the Bears to really show up, today would be on Oracle be today, right? You have the gap higher this morning on the TikTok news. So it's like, I wouldn't say it's artificially gapping higher, but here's a time where you say, okay, great time to reverse into the red. So telling moment here today for Oracle and the markets. Hopefully markets find some footing, close into the green into the weekend, and we can kind of head into next week, a little positive spin and get the Santa Claus rally. All right, so that's quick on the market, just quick on individual names. First, I'll just talk about Reddit. This week, a lot of the time has been watching names open in the green, or open low, rally to highs, and then give back all those gains to the close. That's pretty much what Reddit did yesterday. So I'm staring at lotto calls or spec calls to try and trade for this week. I'm watching Reddit. By the time I'm looking at some of the calls that had already spiked, and next thing you know, it opens at 233 or so, and the next thing it's over 240. And then I'm looking at the strikes into next week, the 280s. They looked interesting on a risk reward basis, but then my thought is if that was the highs for the day, the premium is just going to get destroyed. So thankfully, didn't add the Reddit calls yesterday. I'll be watching again today. I think, and I put on the watch list before the year is out, 270, 280. If the markets find footing next week and Santa shows up, right? If that scenario plays out, I could see Reddit trading 280 plus. And Reddit's kind of like Roku, right? Reddit takes advantage of all the boom in AI. It doesn't matter who wins in regards to building the data centers and all these other contracts. Everything's good for Reddit, right? Similar to Roku, right? I always use that as a good example when it was rallying last week on the heels of Netflix, the deal for Paramount and HBO and all that fun stuff. That just brings more eyes to that content space, and Roku wins regardless of who wins the bidding war. So anyway, that you don't have to hear my rant here on Reddit, but I'll be looking for some strikes into next week if it finds some footing here today. Serve Robotics finally back in some more strikes. I shouldn't say finally. I ended those January strikes about 2-3 weeks ago. Locked most of those in for some nice gains, and now I've been waiting for another opportunity to get in some calls. Oppenheimer initiated at outperform with the $20 price target yesterday. Stock was gapping, ran up to 1056. Sat on my hands for a little bit, found some support around $10. I went and got some more January strikes. I'm looking for further out calls as well. I'll wait for continuation. I don't know how many times over since May, Serve has had these nice swings from bottoms, and these swings are not like 30 cents or $1. They're massive swings from 10 to 14, 13 to 17. So hopefully we're setting up for another one of those moves. 1375 is the next big target. If it finds some strength today, I'll look for some more calls. And then cannabis, right? This long-awaited, I wouldn't say long-awaited, but the executive order to reclassify marijuana finally happened yesterday. Some of the details in regards to the order started to leak out, I guess, yesterday, and you saw some weakness. CGC opened over $2, rallied to 238, and then gave back the gains and then some, especially ahead of the executive order being signed in the afternoon. Uh, I think some people were hoping for more of like a generic, just, hey, we're reclassifying marijuana and all bets are off. Like, the selling part, the legalization, all that stuff. But that wasn't the case. It was kind of more selective in the wording. And then the other side is names in the cannabis space have a hard time accessing capital because all the laws and regulations in regards to marijuana. So they thought maybe there'd be some update on that. There wasn't. So I think there was a little bit of disappointment. So my fear was that the major sell the news. It did sell the news, but CGC is still hanging in there from a week and a half ago. So to me, this might be the moment, the reversal moment, where they can. I wouldn't say they're going to go back on fire like they did. I don't know, it was like 5 years ago. But I do think there's an opportunity for them finally to start to outperform. So I'll be watching today. 199 is the key spot on CGC. I'll look to add some more strikes. Otherwise, I'll just ride the freebies. Got the IIPR calls yesterday too, and I think some of the reason IIPR sold off too is because the regards to no clarification regards to finance, the capital structure of things that have to happen when marijuana is involved. So maybe that'll change at some point. I still like IIPR, and you still could trade up above its upper Bollinger Band. So I wouldn't say a healthy pullback, but maybe some continuation here today. I think it trades 60 to 65 in the coming days. 3 minutes to the open here. So I'll be back on audio later. So have a great day. Rock.